Hey guys, it is the RoundTable. This is episode 89, and I'm Jenny Walker, the social media ministry leader here at Life Church. And this is Mike Hill. He is our pastor. And sitting in between us is Gina.
I
just want to, yeah.
Gina
Vanmeter.
Okay.
Yeah, but you also have Foster too. Is that?
Well, I gave that name up.
Okay, so Vanmeter is your maiden name.
Vanmeter is my
Okay,
name,
all right.
but I
That's
took
what I
it
was
back.
confused on.
Yeah.
Foster was your... Have you only been married
name.
once?
Yeah.
What?
Once
You thought it was more?
I thought she was married more than that.
No.
Really?
You had no other significant men in your
No,
life.
I got married when I was 16
Okay.
and divorced him when I was probably like 39.
Wow, you were married when you were 16 years old?
Yep.
Holy crap.
Don't recommend it.
You don't recommend being married at 16?
No.
So
You
why'd
think
you
at
get...
16 you think you know everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So-
why did you get married at 16?
Following love type of thing.
Oh,
you
really?
know, blind love. Oh,
So how long were you like dating?
2 years.
Okay,
Met him
so
when I
you
was
met him when you're
14.
Wait,
Like
15?
this is going to sound stupid. Like it's legal in the United States
I
of
know.
America to
Yes.
get married when you're 16?
Yes, my mom I had to go get married in Ohio
Wait, what?
because Indiana would not accept it unless I was pregnant.
What?
Yeah, that made my mom so mad when the judge said that.
Yeah, because
It
your
was
mom
like-
was all for it.
Yeah, she knew. I mean, you're either
How
gonna...
old was she?
My mama?
No.
No.
Oh, Big Rick?
Big Rick.
17.
Okay.
No, 16. He was 19.
Yeah, so I was going to say, one of you have to be over 18 to get
Yeah, I
married,
know. I
don't
was
you?
a legal guardian for
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, I think somebody
2
has to be
years.
over 18.
What?
Yeah.
So two 16-year-olds can't get married at the
No.
same time?
Well, unless they're emancipated.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
no.
would make sense. Never
They
mind.
could emancipate themselves and then do it.
Wow.
Okay, here's your
Interesting.
question for the day. You ready?
What is it?
If
Dun,
you could
dun,
be
dun.
any animal that you would choose out of all the animals in the world, what would you choose and why?
A dog.
Why? You got to have
Because
the
dog
why.
backwards is God, and because their characteristics are so cool.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, name one that's cool. They
When
lick
you're
your
in-
face, they lick their
No,
balls,
when-
and they lick your
Have you
face.
ever been? Have you ever been?
The best.
That's the best
I
characteristic.
love that.
The dog sits there and licks their privates
That
and then
part I
comes
don't
up and
care
licks
for.
your face. It's so
I know,
good.
but Mel.
Hey, their mouth is still cleaner than ours.
They somehow,
What?
Yeah, have
somehow,
you ever heard that?
Their bacteria in them
That is
strong.
another fact that isn't true.
Well,
No,
I
it's
believe
true.
it because I let him lick me all the time.
I do too.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't think about what would I be if I'm an animal.
They're loyal.
So they're loyal.
There you
and
go.
They're
So-
loyal. If you hit them 5,000 times, like if you beat them,
Reed
they
was
still
one thing
love
off of
you.
that list, and it's fabulous.
Yeah.
I don't think that's completely true.
Yes, it is.
That if you abuse a dog, that he's going to
They
love
still
you.
want your owners. Yes.
I don't know if it's out of love, but more, they're still going to come to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
They still want you. Yeah.
So are you choosing a dog too?
No. Well, I don't know. I'd like to be a golden retriever. No. I don't know.
Everybody's in shock.
Okay, well, a golden retriever is a dog.
I know, but I want to be
Okay.
specific. I
Okay.
would like to be my own golden retriever because I treat my dog so nice. But
Okay.
anyway, I don't know. It would either be like a polar bear,
Yeah.
maybe.
Okay, why a polar bear?
They've always been my favorite
Because
animal.
they eat seals?
No.
I love lions. Lions are awesome.
Lions are awesome.
Yeah, so you're picking a polar bear?
Yes, they're just cute.
Because they're...
They're cute.
She's so cool.
What about you?
I would pick a lion because I want to be the king of the jungle. That would be one. And I would want to be a road runner
A road runner.
so I could get to places faster,
Oh, that's good.
right? Like that way you
How
can...
fast are they?
Huh?
How fast are they?
I mean, have you ever watched a cartoon?
yes.
If you ever watch a real one,
Right, no kidding.
I've seen a real
They
road
are
runner.
fast.
They are fast.
Okay.
Yeah, they're out pretty much out in the desert. I think I saw them in Arizona. Maybe would that
Right.
be possible?
I wonder. Now you got me
Is that
thinking.
the real name of them?
Turtle would be kind of cool.
Turtle?
Yeah, you could just like
Okay,
kick
so
it
why
and
why
kick
a
it and
turtle?
relax, and you're all covered up.
Yeah, but what happens if
just-
you're out in the middle of the road?
Then your life's gone.
No, you just go inside of your shell.
Oh, and they'll
they
be
don't
able to
crush it.
survive
Yeah,
a...
you run them over and you're perfectly fine.
Are they?
No.
No, they get squished if it's a car, I'm
No,
sure.
I don't think so.
Their
You wanna-
shells?
You want to do that as an experiment on the podcast?
No.
Run over a turtle?
Yeah.
Oh, that's mean.
Well, I mean, we're all about proving things that we think are true to be true or things we think are false to be false.
Let's
so,
just
I mean,
take one that doesn't
there's
involve somebody's
there's a
life.
turtle that's willing to sacrifice its life to be able to get to the truth.
Poor turtle.
Oh, turtle.
Poor turtle.
Yeah. So Gina, tell us a little bit about you. About you meaning like what's going on in your life today? What are you excited about? What are you passionate about?
All right, what's going on in my life today?
Yes.
After here, I go to work.
So what do you do for
Other
work?
than work.
I love volunteering. Volunteering's my passion. Oh my gosh, I just love it. Tonight's the laundry ministry.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
explain to people what the laundry ministry is, because
Yeah.
maybe a lot of our listeners don't even
A
have any
group of
idea.
us, which if you ever want to know about volunteering, find Jennifer Eller. I think
Okay.
she is like the most prettiest Christian I've ever met. You know? She's from
And so it's the pretty ones that get you volunteered?
No, I
Is that
said
what you're
pretty in the
saying?
heart. You
Oh,
know?
got it.
Yeah, because she just, for the community.
Okay.
So we go to the laundromat from donations and ties and stuff. We purchase washing and drying and the soap for people in the community that can't afford it
Okay. So how often does this happen?
every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks.
So
Are you about to sneeze?
at Chewy.
Whoa! Did you do a silent one?
Huh?
Did you do silent
I
one?
always hold it in.
I thought that was a
So do
myth.
I.
Huh?
So do I.
I don't want to clean up
always
the
go,
mess afterwards.
It's that nasty? What?
I mean, if you sneeze, like stuff's coming out and then you got to clean everything up.
Okay, but
afterwards.
like not like that dramatic.
Huh?
I don't think that much stuff comes out
Plus,
when you
it's
sneeze.
good to see if you can stop your heart and get it restarted.
Oh, is
Okay.
that what it is?
Yeah.
All right.
Isn't it when you sneeze, your heart, when you hold
I
them in,
have
your
no
heart
clue.
stops
I've never
for a
heard
second? Okay, so if somebody wants to come twice a month. It happens on today's Tuesday night.
Today's Tuesday.
Every
Yes.
Tuesday nights,
5
you can
o'clock.
come,
The
get your-
north side washing.
And they just see you when they get there?
I know.
Yes. Yeah.
So they come up to
We
you?
kind of
like, how
are
do they
looking
know,
for
how do they
them.
know who you are?
We're looking for them. We let them know. And there's several people that come in that did not know. And then we'll bless them and be able to do their laundry, you know, and just kind of like,
So you just hang out in the laundromat?
yep.
And
That's
have,
what
like,
I like about it. Because
conversations.
I do the meal ministry too,
Okay.
but it's real quick. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, you got an hour to feed them and visit with them. But here at the laundromat, I like it because you have that 2 hours to really talk with the people. And
Okay.
so, so those are the two
amazing.
places I like volunteering. If there's any more, I'm the gal.
If you need anything
like
done,
it.
see Gina
Yeah.
Vanmeter.
I love it. It's just, that's where I'm happy at. And the children's ministry, which we need volunteers, everybody.
We do?
It's fun. Yes, always.
Oh, always need volunteers.
Always. And
Where
we're
do
getting
we-
more and more children. As the church is
Yes.
growing,
Yeah.
so is the children's ministry.
So where do we need volunteers at?
I don't know. You'd have to ask Miss Cute Charity. Isn't she cute?
Isn't it funny how you attach like somebody's looks to them?
I know.
Like, just go see Jennifer Eller, the volunteer lady, because she's pretty.
Yeah,
No, she was
when
meaning
I
her
attach
personality.
The outside, it's the inside that And
Yeah,
come
I
on.
mean, they're ugly on the outside, but
they could be.
you know, I didn't really mean they were pretty on the outside. I meant,
But
like,
it's fun there. It's a lot of fun.
What, in the
And,
children's ministry?
Yeah, I've been doing it now almost the whole time I've been here.
Oh,
which
wow.
is for how long?
I've been doing it ever since it was Lee.
No, I know, but how long have you been at Life Church?
About 13 years.
Wow. I
How'd
didn't
you
know
ever
that.
end up at Life Church?
My boys came here for the food.
Really?
Yeah. They stayed. I mean, they went all the way up to high school, and now they're
Now they're-
non-active out there.
They're just out there.
They're out there. I keep telling them.
They came here for what food?
Yeah.
Remember when we used to have that big old long spread?
What was
yeah.
it?
Oh, we used to do sausage, and people would donate things that morning,
For
and then the
church?
church supplied the sausage, the grapes, the cheese, fruit. Yeah, we had a big
Like how
old
we have
long spread.
donuts and coffee?
Yeah,
like it would be
used to
that?
be a big
So
spread.
it used to be when we did it, like Mark Heupel would donate one deer a year.
Oh, whoa.
So we
How'd
would
that
have
happen?
deer sausage and cheese, and grapes and oranges and apples
Wow.
milk and coffee.
milk and coffee.
juice.
And you know who they came with?
Who?
The Clark kids
Really?
for the food.
Oh, did the Clark kids come at that time also?
Yeah, they all
Nice.
That's
walked here.
cool.
They all
Nice.
walked here
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
You know, because they were friends with Gina's family.
Yeah. Well, the kids were.
Huh?
The kids were.
Yeah.
Right. That's
Yeah.
what I meant. The
Yeah.
kids were friends with
Yeah,
your
I only met Josh a couple times during wrestling,
right.
That is cool.
you know, and
Right.
then we went through that
See the things that brings people to church.
Through that what? Like,
That
not
big
everybody
old
knows that big ordeal.
I know.
What was the big ordeal?
The Clark kids, I'm the one who brought them to Mike.
Oh, really?
So,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, what's the story
I
behind
know.
it, Gina?
I was hanging out with Melissa, my niece, and we were watching, I can't remember what day it was, but the parade, and we're sitting at the old, what is it called now? But anyways, we're sitting watching the parade, and she's talking about Clark kids and how they're coming to get them the next day, and about the situation
And
that
them
they're
as
in.
CPS.
No, the Liz,
The parents?
and
Josh and
yeah.
Liz and Corbin and Allie were in
Right.
Indy.
So we're
Okay.
talking
The other
about
three
that,
were
and
with-
I'm like, okay, Lord, what's going on? You know. So I said, no, I'm gonna go and get them. So next morning, I went to go get them, and Melissa wasn't waking up for me. So it was like, come on, guys, we're going. So I came up here. That was when the sanctuary was upstairs.
Yep.
And I was just like, I have no clue what to do, Lord. So I just sat down in a circle and we prayed, and I called him.
She didn't call me. She walked up to my office after church and said, hey, by the way, do you remember the Clark kids?
Yeah.
And said, hey, this is what's going on. They were staying at Melissa's house. They can't stay there any longer. And so we need to figure out what to do with them. Will you take them?
Wow. They weren't standing right there, were they?
They were standing out in the sanctuary.
I
Wow.
wasn't letting them go. All I knew is there was something I had to do. I didn't know what, where.
Right. Because they had been dropped off at Melissa's house as kind of an exchange deal with Josh and Liz.
Right.
An exchange deal. What, to get
Because-
them back?
You watched my kids and da-da-da-da.
Yeah, so Josh and Liz were in Indy, and at that point, they were pretty heavy into heroin and dealing. And Josh had called me in February, and he sent me a text, and he said, "Hey, do you remember me or what's left of me? This is Josh Clark."
Wow, he said that?
Yeah,
Oh,
and so we
wow.
talked via text, and he said, essentially, again, I don't know if I could put it in complete terminology. Essentially, there's a hit out on my life. So I've sent the 3 kids to Huntington, to stay with Melissa, to get them out of that. Corbin and Allie are still with me. That's the last I heard of him. Heard from him. He never texted me back. I never heard anything from him again until Gina brought the 3
Kind of
kids.
interesting, huh?
Wow.
But he reached
Brought
out to you, and then I show up.
What year was this?
No, not good with years.
I don't know, honestly.
Right,
I
I
think
don't
Jeremy
either.
was like 10 years old, and he's now 19.
It was like 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Around there.
8, 10?
Yeah. But either way, Gina was the one who brought him in.
Glad I did. Oh, so thankful.
But again, so you just came because the kids came. So why weren't you in church?
Oh,
Why did it take?
my
Why
God.
did it
I'm
take
doing
your
my
kids?
testimony
why
now.
why did it take kids to get you to come
Yeah.
to church? Why
I
were
was
you out
out
of
of church
church?
for 25 years.
You what?
I left church 25 years prior.
For 25 years. Yeah. For what reason?
Yeah.
A bunch of, the stuff that you get up there talking about, all that small BS stuff.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
what?
The church that I was at was
So wait a second, just so everybody knows. So let's kind of go back to your story a little bit because.
testimony story
Well, I mean,
that I'm working on, Lord.
Well, no, I mean, so let's go. So you get married at 16. You lived in Huntington.
No, I got married in Huntington. Big Rick was in the military.
Okay.
So then in the military, I lived in, Kentucky, Colorado, Missouri.
Okay, you moved around.
And then I went to California.
Okay.
I raised my kids in California.
So you had your kids in California.
No, I had my kids in the military base.
Okay. But you end up in California, right?
Yeah.
Still married.
Yeah.
Rick's going to church.
No.
Rick never went to church. Well, what did you grow up with? Did you grow up going
No.
to church? So
No.
your mom, dad,
No.
nothing.
None of you?
I went to church when I was about 11, going on 12.
Okay.
I met God through those little children's Bible books. Have you ever
Okay.
seen those encyclopedias?
Yeah.
Yeah, I started reading those. And
Where?
then
We're at.
a neighbor's friend's house that had
Okay.
them. Yeah.
While you're still in Huntington.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're introduced to the
Well,
concept
I was
of God.
raised in California.
You
Okay.
were?
My parents moved back out here when I was 10, 11 years old
because
because they say it's because the influence on the family out there
Was
was
bad.
crazy. Yeah, was
so
bad.
you come here to Huntington.
Mom wanted to be in Indiana. Dad always wanted to be in California.
Okay.
So they had 4 children, 2 were born in California, 2 were born in Indiana.
You were born in
So,
California.
I was born in Indiana, went back to California as a baby.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And
So you
then
have
they
brothers
brought-
and sisters.
I have 2 sisters and 1 brother.
Yeah.
And then, so then they brought me here when I was 10, 11. So,
Wow.
yeah, I did
But
not like
anyway,
it.
so your family was not
Big-
church-going
no,
people,
no.
right?
Not at all.
So you get introduced to the concept of God through,
The Bibles. And then I had a little classmate invite me to go to church with her.
okay,
So I went to the Assembly of God Church on Etna.
okay,
It's not a church no more. It's awesome. I went to church there when I was young. And then I moved out here one time with my son, Ricky. And they turned that church into an apartment. And I rented the apartment building.
Oh, that's
I was
cool.
just like,
That's
okay,
so
Lord,
cool.
this is like really, it's not there anymore. They knocked down the building and put up like a garage or something like that.
right.
But then,
So anyway, you're with your husband, Adam. You guys have kind of landed in California.
Yeah, he's
Living in
from
California.
California.
God's not a part of your life. God's not a part of his life
no,
at all.
no.
Right. So, no, I'm just saying. So, at what point, like, did you get to the place where you're like, oh, I need God in my life?
Yes, I did the church when my kids were little.
You went to church,
As a young girl, I went to church for a couple of years.
took your kids.
No, that was as young.
Oh, got
as
it.
a young girl, 12 years
yep.
old, went to church. Then I left church and got married, and then we traveled. And then when I got back to Arbuckle, is where I raised my kids.
Okay. Arbuckle, California.
Arbuckle, California. We're finally on the map.
Okay.
It was a little agricultural town.
Yeah.
Then yes, my heart was telling me I want my kids to be in church. I
Okay.
want
So
them
you
to
go
know.
to church with your kids. Rick's still not going.
No, Rick don't go.
No, nothing. He didn't want any of it.
No.
Okay. So you decide to get your kids back in church.
Right. And then we stay there for a while. And then the church just starts getting, I don't know, concerned more about money, it felt,
Okay.
than anything. And actuality, all the concerns that we had, there was 5 women in our church. And I was a baby of all 5 of them. You know, I was like, okay.
Meaning there were only 5 women?
No, I mean 5 women in the church, leaders. I mean, we're talking about the treasury, Sunday
Okay.
school teachers.
You're one of those people.
Yeah, Sunday school.
Okay.
Didn't know what I was teaching, but like I said, I love to volunteer from day one.
Okay.
And then, so we brought it to the elders, and that didn't work. And then everybody got their feelings hurt, and all 5 women left church.
Left church.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now you're out.
You would think that would total church. Wow, we're not talking about a big church.
Right. So you're out of church altogether. Right?
Yes.
So out in California.
For 25 years.
Yeah. So talk about how was life? What were the good things? What were your struggles? Tell us about life in California.
Oh,
Raising
crazy.
kids,
Seriously.
being married. Huh?
You only know a few of my crazy,
I'm
colorful,
just saying,
twisted life.
give our listeners and the people that are watching a perspective
Okay,
of your
let's
life.
see. I was a drug addict, and my husband was a drug dealer.
Well, wait a second. Okay. You can't jump from I was a Sunday school teacher and now I'm a drug addict. Right?
Well-
So again, what we're trying to help people get, right, is like people know
I'm working on my testimony still, so I'm trying to figure out how to take my life and write it into a testimony.
No, right. So this is what
Right.
I'm saying. So people see you today, right? And they talk to you today. They're in Bible study today. They see who you are today, right? But for a lot of people, they don't know where you came
Right.
from.
Right.
Right. So we're trying to get this perspective. So you're not a drug addict while you're here. You haven't done drugs while you're here. You marry your high school crush.
Right.
Life is going perfectly.
No, my life's never went
No,
perfectly.
wait a second. You get married. Obviously, when you're first married, you're thinking like, this is exactly what I want.
I soon found out.
Yeah. How soon?
Pretty soon.
Like within a year?
Yeah.
Within a year, you found out this was a bad
actuality,
choice.
like when I got married, my dream was to have 4 children. All I wanted to be when I was a young girl was a housewife.
Okay.
Because I just seen the beauty in it.
Yeah.
Like you said, the women's, God's perfect plan.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what you wanted.
That's what I
So you
wanted.
married a guy that thought was going to give you that.
Yes.
Kids and stability.
Yes.
Okay. And you got married and you found what?
Crazy, dramatic, unstable.
Okay. And you noticed that within a year.
Yes.
Okay.
Wow.
Now, again, so let's talk.
So
Why'd you
why'd I
stay with
stay?
him? Why'd you stay with him?
in hopes that I could help him turn around.
Yeah.
Right. And so you didn't see this side of him when you were dating?
It's not like one person's just one way. He's a good, kind man, that if there was somebody that needed help, he's right there.
Right.
Good Samaritan. He would never cross the street to avoid helping another person. Sure. So you always see,
there's some good in him, but then all of a sudden you see some things you don't like.
Right.
But you made a choice to stick it out.
Right.
And have kids?
Yes, I stopped at 2.
Huh?
I stopped at 2.
Yeah, so, but again, like...
I had my children at 18 and 19, so there wasn't that big time frame. It was...
Right. So you get out there, you weren't doing drugs. He wasn't doing drugs either?
No, but he's always doing drugs.
He was always, even when you were dating?
Yeah, so was I.
You were doing drugs when you were dating?
Yes.
Okay, we missed that part of the story.
We did miss that part.
So when you were here in Indiana, you were doing drugs?
Yes.
What was your drug of choice?
When I came to Christ, I was already a little alcoholic. At the age of 11, I already was drinking alcohol.
Wow.
Okay.
So...
How did you start drinking alcohol at 11 years old?
My parents were drinkers.
Mm-hmm.
We had this basement that was real cool. Had the pool table, the bar, and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, ain't nothing for a little kid to go sneak.
Did your parents know?
No.
They didn't have any idea.
No.
So at first, was it just all fun? Like, I'm going to get away with it, sneak it, see what it does?
No, I was a very angry little girl because they took me away from the only thing I knew, and they were unstable.
Right.
So I was like, that's the only time I ever seen any of them happy. So I figured, hey,
Yeah. So you watched your parents relieve stress by drinking. So you're thinking, even at 11 years old. So, I mean, so we should probably stop for a second and take a note because I don't think parents realize this, how much your children are watching.
What you're doing.
And are observing how you handle situations.
Yeah.
And are probably going to respond to situations the same way you do.
Oh, yeah. People that say, oh, my kids are never going to do that. I'm sorry. Yeah. Actions speak louder than words.
Right. Like you could say, I've heard people say this, well, I might not do it all right, but my kids will because I've taught them better than me.
Right. No.
Which isn't true, right?
No.
Like
It's
they're learning it from you.
They go by your example.
Yeah. So you're drinking. When did you get into drugs? And why drugs?
Well,
what was wrong with alcohol?
A lot.
Huh? I know. What was the switch? Yeah, I mean,
I honestly don't remember. I mean, it was
well, how'd you get
more
introduced
of
to
who
it?
I hung out with.
Right.
Because, like, the drinking was more of a private thing at that age.
Okay.
And then when I met Big Rick,
Think about this just for a second. What
Private.
you're saying? You're 11 years old, and you're saying,
It's a private.
drinking was kind
Well,
of.
it wasn't
I was
social.
hanging out downstairs in the basement, sipping on whiskey
well,
by myself.
I wasn't getting drunk. It was like if you ever take shots of liquor, you'll get. It's almost like a
Buzz.
Prozac, I would call it.
Okay.
You'll get a relief.
Okay.
So that I wasn't down there getting drunk. But
But still, you were hiding it.
Yeah,
And that's a
yeah,
big deal.
Yeah. So then you meet Big Rick, and he introduces you to drugs.
no pot.
Huh?
Pot,
So he
marijuana.
introduced pot. He was
He was a
selling it.
major pot smoker.
Okay.
Okay.
So
And so did it get worse than pot?
no, pot's better than alcohol.
No, I know.
No, like what after pot?
I'm trying to define.
the
When you say
alcohol
that I'm
left.
doing drugs, I
Right.
mean, have you always just been a pot smoker? Or did you do other drugs?
Oh yeah, did others.
Huh?
Meth.
Okay.
So where was the switch from the weed to the meth? Like, because you don't wake up and do meth, like go from weed to doing meth
Well,
and
no,
having
wait,
a
I want
problem.
to ask this question because I've been having this conversation with some parents whose kids are on, because honestly, in our, today, pot is somewhat accepted.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, it's legal in some places.
No, I know, but the
Yeah.
idea of kids that have ADHD or kids that are struggling with, anxiety, that
Right.
Yeah.
it's probably not that big a deal if they're smoking joints.
Right. It's good on a medical aspect. I just think it can get out of control.
No,
just
so my
like
point
anything
is,
else.
this is just for you personally, you don't have to put a broad perspective on it. Do you think that doing marijuana is a gateway into other drugs?
No,
No?
I really don't. I think alcohol is more of a
Okay.
gateway.
I think that's first of all, it's really hard. Is that my phone? I've never heard it do that before.
Probably mine.
Oh, okay. I've
Sorry.
thought about this question a lot
Okay.
because I think it's a dumb question.
It is. Which part's dumb? What I just asked?
I just think there's a lot of people ask that question.
Okay.
And I think that it isn't necessarily the thing that is the gateway. I think it's the people. Like
Okay.
if you are buying it from a drug dealer,
Okay.
that's entering the drug dealing world. If
Okay.
you would go to a dispensary, it's really not going to lead you anywhere unless it's like you like that high and you want to know what else.
So you're saying that the majority of people that are smoking weed are never going to experiment with,
No,
A
I'm
good
not saying that.
percentage of them aren't.
aren't ever going to experiment with another drug. So what
Right.
made you experiment with something else other than marijuana?
Because it was brought into my atmosphere.
Okay, so somebody else said, "Hey, Gina, try this."
Yeah, and for years it was like, I ain't never going to, you guys are fools. I ain't never going to do that, da-da-da-da, never. And then you play some mind games to yourself, like big time.
Right. So
in
you
this
go
world.
from pot. So again, I'm trying to put this into perspective. So now you're 18, 19 years old, you're having kids, but both of you are doing drugs?
At that time, it was just marijuana.
Okay. But after that, when did the kids add stress or something that moved it into this place, or?
I don't know, to tell you the truth. I don't
Okay.
remember on that aspect when it started because the kids were older.
The kids were
Oh,
older
really?
when you,
Yeah. The kids were older. They were like, just think about this one, probably 8, 9.
8 or 9
wow.
when you moved into something other than marijuana.
Right.
What kind of effect did that have on your marriage and your kids?
Awful. It'll ruin your life.
Right.
It'll literally ruin your life. It'll
And-
take everything, huh?
Well, because he was dealing. So your
Right.
kids, were they around that, seeing that?
Yeah,
Did you
my
have
children
people
were
in and
raised-
out and everything?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
It'll take everything. I guarantee you, people.
Yeah. Meaning
take-
that money, relationship.
Money, relationship, everything. Your livelihood,
Right.
And
so this is fast forwarding, but kind of give us so here's a snapshot. You and Rick and your family, you guys are in California. God isn't a part of your life, and you're at a place now where drugs and just maybe that lifestyle has tended to consume something other than raising children.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So how much effect do you think that, not as a blaming, but how much effect do our decisions as parents have on our kids as they become adults?
Everything.
Really?
Seriously. Your father's the first man you're going to look at.
Okay.
A mother's the first woman a son's going to look at.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So can you put that in perspective for people? So did you have a son?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how much effect did your
How much
son
effect
Right.
did my son
from
drug
growing up
dealer's
inside
house?
of those things, and how did that play out in his life?
Right.
Because
He never
again,
could
I'm
kick
not.
the habit.
I don't want to bring up stuff that's obviously painful.
Right. That's
But I
okay.
also think that it's important for people to see, because I think that there are lots of people think that can be a disconnect, that it's not generational, that it's not a cycle, that it's not like, hey, we did it, but it's just a phase of our life and it's not going to have any effect of our kids. So can you give us
If
a
you're
story?
raising your children in it, it'll affect your children for the rest of their life.
Yeah. So can you talk to us at all? Like, how did it affect
My
your
son
kids?
was raised up in that. My son was an addict his whole life, and then my son overdosed a year ago.
Yeah.
So
And again, did you guys know that he was like an addict when he was a kid? You did.
yeah.
Right. But was it something you tried to steer him away from?
It's kind of hard to steer somebody away when you're in it yourself.
Yeah, that's
So
what I
you
mean.
were still using when he
Yeah.
was using?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So again, you're going through this. At some point, you make a break, right? Like from Rick,
Right.
right? I think. I'm just trying to walk people through the story. And at some point, you make that break. You decide this isn't working. So what got you to the point? Why did you ever leave? Like, what made you say, enough's enough? We're doing something else. And then, did you bring the kids with you?
I left Big Rick several times.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
Several times, and I'd always go back.
because
It's
I'm
just a
laughing, but
thing.
I'm trying to think about why.
I honestly, I tell people, I say, how like in your yearbook, you look at that picture and you look at that hairdo and you go, what was I thinking?
It's like that.
It's like that.
Really?
But that's a
Yeah.
question for a
I
lot
say-
of women.
Yeah. I think it's when it's the father of your children, and then you believe that you can, change it. You can,
Do you think it has anything to do with the design of a woman, of why she keeps going back?
Absolutely.
Like, what is she searching for?
Absolutely.
What is it that she's searching for that would cause, even in a situation that's not good, to keep going back?
What is she searching for?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I think
to
there's
be in
something,
that design.
Yeah, I think internally there's these emotions that women just have that's hard to disconnect from, that lead them back into situations that aren't good, right? Because even though, like, I think one of the things that I've always said, we've talked about it on the podcast, is for every woman, they're looking for security,
Yes,
right?
big
And
time.
then when you get outside of a relationship, you tend to find, even though you might be somewhat independent, the security piece, something to fall back on, something to have there isn't there. And so they tend to go back to situations that they probably shouldn't.
His wasn't necessarily security, because I was always the security blanket, you know.
You were Miss Independent, do it on your own?
Yeah. When you have to.
So when you left him, did you stay in Arbuckle?
No, I always come back to Huntington.
Really?
Yeah, because that was where my family was.
Okay, and you would bring the kids with you?
I brought the kids with me. Yeah. The man one time even drove me back to Indiana.
Oh, wow.
Who did?
Big Rick.
That's really nice of him.
Yeah, he loaded up the truck.
Wow.
I said it was his demons, you know, that he was constantly fighting, and I just happened to be in the middle of it, you know, in the way.
Right.
That's why that sermon coming up on the women, yeah, I can't wait to hear it. I can't wait to hear it.
For what reason? Like,
Because I believe in it, and I want them to know, this is what you do. You don't do it the other way. Because if I maybe would have had the sermon or the way of knowing what to do, you know, I might have been able to do it. God even told me a couple times to duck. He said, "You're in my way. Get out of my way." Yeah, you know, but no, I had to be in his face and tell him, you know, what wrong he was doing.
Right. So when you say that, so let's just stop on that for a second, because we're going to get to the point where you're now completely separated and you're back in Huntington with the kids.
Right.
Right. Like, we're going to get to that point. But if you are saying, like, I can't wait for this message because I want women to hear. Like, what do you want them to hear? Like, when you say this, like, you already know this in your mind, but I want you to explain it. So you said, I felt like God told me to duck. What does that mean? Explain to women out there what that, for you, based upon the design that God has, why would he tell you to duck? Why would he tell you to get out of the way?
Because he was working on him. And if I would, even back then, I've told a couple women, even back then, my prayers for him were selfish. Even though at that time I didn't even realize it.
Okay.
You know, because I was praying, you know, because I rightfully was praying because I was the wife and the children. So I'm praying for us as a unit, the whole family, instead of now I pray for Big Rick as an individual, you know, as a man of God.
You were taking over his job, though.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
gosh,
this is another interesting thing. So, again, and take this the right
Told
way,
you,
Gina, because you know me. I mean, you know me. Like, here you are. I won't say you're a drug addict.
Right.
But you're doing drugs.
As an addict.
Things aren't going the way they're supposed to go. You're not in church. You haven't been in church forever, but you're praying.
Yeah.
Oh, always.
Don't you think that's weird?
Oh, gosh, yes. I used to be called a hypocrite all the time.
No, it's not. That's not what I meant.
I used to carry around my Bible.
No,
dude.
listen to me. Here's what I want people to see. Why would somebody who has walked away from the church pray?
Because I didn't walk away from God.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I never walk away from God. There ain't
That's what I
nothing-
wanted you to.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted people to be able to hear.
There's nothing in this world, ever.
Right.
Ever.
Right. That you still had this belief
Oh, gosh.
in God
Big
and still
time.
had this trust in God. You just didn't trust the church.
I didn't trust anything. I used to carry around my little King James Bible. It is so wore out.
Okay.
You know, and I mean, I'd be sitting around with a bunch of people, you know, and they're
Right.
like, what is that? You know, why are
Right.
you carrying around? It's like, all I know is this is the only thing that is true in this world.
Right.
You know, and
you'd
even
be
though I
reading
didn't know.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's somebody.
But
so
Like in a crack house?
Yeah. Seriously.
no.
That's
So
why.
here's the other point of it too. So who in your life, in the course of those times of turmoil, whatever we want to call those years of your life, what women were surrounding you, helping you, coming alongside of you? What women were trying to pull you out? Were there women or no?
None.
Yeah, like that's the part that I think is crazy.
What?
Well, I mean, you think about this. So part of what we're going to talk about in Titus says, like, older women should be training younger women. Like, they should be seeking out younger women because, again, the reality is everybody goes through these crazy times. Craziness is just defined in different ways. Right? Craziness can be defined in your mental state. Craziness can be defined in your addiction state. Craziness can be defined in your independent state. It's just you're off the rails in some aspect. Where are all the godly women that are going to say, I'm going to go find the girls that are off the rails right now, and I'm going to journey with them? But there was no one.
No.
Yeah, I think that's...
Wow.
Do you think, Jenny, did you have them?
Yeah.
You did. So you had people trying to pull you out of the...
Oh, yeah.
Off the rails?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Too many sometimes.
But you didn't want to hear it.
Yeah. What?
Right. You just didn't want to hear it.
No.
Right.
But I mean, I still, like, even to this day, I will think about it. Like, there's not anything that anybody had ever said that went completely like, I didn't take it. But I don't know. It's like, you don't hear it at that time, but it's still being in your head. It's like a seed being planted.
Right. So anyway, so you're saying, I'm praying and I realized, like, there's some things that I should have done different as a woman.
Now.
Right.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that you would say to women today, like, this is something you need to make sure that you do right. Was...
It's hard, though.
Like, you know, what's something? If you could give them some advice, like one of the things you said.
Shut up, not talk so much.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, women are emotional, you know. So everything that triggers is from an emotion. Men are logical, so that's kind of
women are illogical. Or
men are logical.
Right,
women are
crazy.
emotional. Yeah.
No.
What?
We're not
Men
crazy.
are logical, women are crazy.
No, emotional. No.
Yeah.
Not crazy.
There's
no,
difference.
just emotions turn into
Yeah,
crazy.
remember
Yes,
when I
they
think
do.
about the male's feces? So don't go there.
Yeah, but again, emotions left unchecked can turn into insanity.
Yes, it can.
Yes.
And I'm not even saying
And
that.
logic unchecked can turn into insanity. Correct? I mean, we have some geniuses that are really...
Yeah, we do.
right. What are they called? Extravagant or something
Well, I
like
mean,
that.
I think the thing that Scripture would always say is the thing you should seek above everything else is wisdom.
Yes.
You know, wisdom is defined by what you know and how you apply. What you know and how you apply.
Yeah.
Right?
But it's hard for women when they don't see any leading to, to step aside and say, okay. I could not step aside and say, okay, Big Rick, you got this. I'm trusting.
Right.
'Cause that's the biggest thing is just trust God. And
Yeah. So
because I can't tell a woman that's being abused or left, to the wrong road to say, okay, no, all you got to do is pray more.
Yeah. Well, let's just use that as an example.
But why can't you?
Because it's just pray more, but yeah, you still got to take care of business. You still got to make sure bills are paid. I mean, you're just going to sit there and spend the whole time praying? I mean, maybe, but...
Come on, Jenny, you're thinking of something. Something's rolling around in your head up there.
Well, I mean, I know that, like, because are you saying that they would have to do the work? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I did. Like I said, remember, all I wanted to be was Little Housewife. So I already had that mindset of being submissive. I seen it as a beautiful thing. Well, I get into a relationship, I'm not allowed to be submissive, okay?
What do you mean?
My children wouldn't have had food. If I would have been submissive and just allowed him,
they wouldn't have had food because he didn't provide.
Right. He wasn't a provider. So because that's a big thing. And in order for the perfect thing to work, each one has to do their own thing. It can't just be the women doing it and not the men, or the men doing it and not the women.
Right. So what would you do in that situation? Like, especially if the man is not providing at all.
Well, hers is an extreme case.
Right. But what would you do?
No, I know. So let's say here's an extreme case.
Extreme.
No, I'm just saying an extreme case
Yeah,
where the welfare of the wife and the welfare of the children is being sacrificed because the man isn't there. So Gina has a very extreme case.
Right.
But part of the problem is that everybody wants to go to that extreme, but that's honestly not usually the case.
What do you mean?
So Gina saying, like, Okay, the role of a wife is to be a helper, to come alongside of her husband, to like part of the role of the way that God set it up, the order. So it's men are supposed to submit to God.
Right.
And then love their wife sacrificially, and women are supposed to submit to a man, right? So that's the order of how it works.
God, man, women, children.
Right. So if the idea is that a woman gets in the way of God to the man, where she takes control, God can no longer deal with the man. Right. Because she stepped in the way. So that's one of the things that Gina said was like, I got in the way because I became Rick's Holy Spirit. I became Rick's, counselor. I became Rick's, like I was trying to fix him. She's saying, I needed to
getting my story good.
Yeah, you needed to like, God. Well, no, this is like the story that I teach.
Right.
Because it's hard for a woman to recognize that you can't fix your man.
Yes.
Like you just can't fix him. Like there is no fixing a man. The only one who can truly fix him is God.
Yeah.
Right. And so part of trusting, submitting is submitting to the fact that God can have more say in your husband's life than you do.
Yeah.
Right now, in her extreme case, if she would have just sat back and said, I trust you, they'd have been starving and broke.
Right.
True? Gina?
That's how I felt. Yeah.
Right.
Who knows? You know, honestly, because I would never let it get to that.
Right. But my point is that for most women, it's not like they're going to be starving and broke. It's just not going to be the way they want it.
Right.
Right. So they're saying, I got to be in control because my husband's an idiot. But honestly, it's not like he's not bringing money home. It's not like he's not.
Well, I think the biggest one is the spiritual.
Okay.
Because I think if a woman sees a man leading in the spiritual walk, she'll follow him anywhere. She really will.
You think?
I think so. I would know. I mean, yeah.
I don't think
the
so.
Woman, you don't think so?
No.
I think so.
Why don't you think so?
A woman that's searching God.
Okay,
a woman
well,
that's living for God. If she sees her man stepping up and saying, okay, I'm going to be the head of the spiritual walk in our family, why wouldn't she follow on the rest of the stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, I think if they're following, like reading the word and actually believing it, then
and
they
having
would.
their children and, so.
What are your thoughts?
Who was the leader in your family on the spiritual walk?
No, it's for well, again, it was a partnership. And we had this discussion at men's group last night because one guy's like, I'm probably not doing my job because I got up and cooked breakfast while my wife was teaching Bible. Right.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, that's not the point. Like, so it's done in different ways. So like, as an example, I taught all of my sons small groups. Right. So I said, hey, I don't care who your friends are. I want to try to reach your friends. So the only criteria is I'm not going to complain about your friends as long as you bring them to Bible study. Right. Like you can bring them out there. I don't care where they're at in life. I'm going to teach them that way. Or I would try to teach my kids biblical principles by the way that they handled themselves with women or how they worked or like in the actual in-action environment where Sherry, when she homeschooled our kids, taught them biblical history type things. Right. But when it came to, again, and everybody who knew Sherry, I mean, she was not a rollover, do whatever, type of a wife.
She's my admiration.
When it came to the discussions, should we take in the Clark kids? She's
really.
Well, I mean, you think about this. We live in a 1,600 square foot house.
Yeah.
I'm already working 2 jobs to try to make ends meet because back then, I mean, the pastor salary, you either ain't getting it or it ain't working. Right. So we're already trying to make ends meet. You're going to take in 5 kids. And the recommendation of every other Christian woman in her life was?
No.
Yeah, why? Why would every Christian woman say, don't take in kids like the Clarks?
Well, to affect I've already heard you say this.
Yeah,
to affect the
because
other
they're going to
kids.
affect the other kids because they're doing drugs and they've seen and they do and they're going to influence your children. So if you were a mom whose job is a protector, whose job is to do, are you going to be on board with it?
Right.
Yeah. So when it came to those things, I said, I feel like this is what God's telling us to do. And she's like, all right.
But she had so much respect for you to do that because you did lead in the right way. You know what I mean? I mean, you know me, I'll praise the good ones and I'll slam on the bad ones. You are a good man.
Yeah, no, I think that there were some aspects of in those situations, true submission, because this is the heart. You like when you teach this to kids that are first getting married, like, oh yeah, it's submission. Like, I mean, I get it what the Bible says, but I said, you understand true submission only works when you disagree.
Yeah.
I mean, submission only comes into play when there is a disagreement or a lack of trust.
Yeah.
Right? So anytime for a woman that you get into a situation, submission only comes into play when
Lack
you
of
don't
trust.
agree with your husband or when you get to a situation where you don't trust your husband.
Yeah.
Right? So that's where you have to really trust God more than you trust your husband. So if you would ask Sherry, is it because I was a good man or because she trusted God? She would tell you it's because she trusted God. You know, and that over time that played out and showed itself as better than always trusting me, you know, because all my decisions weren't the way that they were supposed to be. Not everything turned out the way it was supposed to be, but trusting God is going to be far more important than trusting your husband because he's a man.
Right.
He's untrustworthy to a certain extent. Right.
To a certain extent.
Yeah, you're going to have to trust that he makes those decisions. But I think for women, so when you're asking me what's my opinion if a godly woman or a woman who seeks God is going to fall into that and be okay with it, the majority of them, I would say today, that would call them godly, I would say absolutely not.
Wow.
And it's not even necessarily that their husband's bad. It's just they like control. Most women want to be in control. And as long as the husband goes
In general, you mean?
Yeah, of everything, right?
Yeah.
So as long as the husband just gets in line,
Yeah.
right? So as long as he just follows in line and they all agree, which is the majority of the time, it never even comes up. It only comes up when he's like, hey, I think we should go over here. And this is something else we're going to talk to, like the power of a woman's voice, not women in general, but a woman that you love's voice in your life is very important.
Yeah.
Right. So when she looks at you and says, you're an idiot, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. What's a man's natural response?
Get hurt.
Get back in line. Because she doesn't say mean things to me as long as I just go down the road.
Yeah.
So that's the problem. And a lot of godly women are totally disrespectful to their husbands.
Wow.
You know, when I say godly women, let me put that in perspective. Women that go to church, read their Bible, and go to Bible studies are completely disrespectful to their husbands.
Really? I mean, I don't know. I don't.
Nick, come on, help me out. I'm
Seriously.
not saying you.
Maybe not all of them.
I
The
didn't
ones
say
I
all.
see aren't. I mean,
I didn't say
right.
all. I'm
'Cause
saying
my brain's going to several.
No, I'm just
Heather
saying,
to-
like, Nick, would you say that in talking to men in general, that there is a sense of a lack of respect from their wives to their husbands?
Well,
Well,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Hey.
Well, no, I don't even mean it that way. And I'm not saying this as putting women down. I'm just saying I don't think women know to the extent how much a man wants to be respected.
I don't think they do either.
You know, and how.
Why?
Huh?
I don't understand why that, like, why don't people know that? Or why don't women know that?
Because I think, again, I think most men have just made this decision. You know, I'm just going to put my nose to the grindstone and go to work.
So, like, avoid it?
I'm
Like,
just
avoid
going to
that
avoid
conversation?
it because, again, because when I say, like, I think sometimes women and even men are afraid to say this, like, you're disrespecting me, is women see that as chauvinist. Like,
Very
why should I have to
possible.
respect you? Why should I have to
Really?
treat you? Why should I have to, you know? And men are like, I'm not trying to be chauvinist. I'm just trying to tell you how I feel, right? I'm just trying to tell you why that made me feel terrible. Why that? And it's not about chauvinism. It's about the design, right? The design of a man is that headship, whether you're doing it or not, is an important thing to you, right? So whether you're carrying it out or not, it's still in you. You still want to be you still want to be the head. You still
Right.
want to be the king. And so anytime your wife emasculates you or, you know, essentially puts you down because, and they don't see it as putting you down. They're like, I'm just being real. Like, I'm just being real. I'm just telling you how it is, you know, and I don't think they understand the power of those words because it's not offset with love.
Yeah.
That's just amazing because the women, like, they're not being like that to their kids. Like,
Oh, no.
if it was like reversed, you know what I mean?
But you know, the reason being is because the order's messed up. So if you go to a woman's life today, godly women, here's what I would say you're going to find with most godly women. People, and again, I'm using that as a general phrase. Women that go to church, that read their Bible and Bible studies would say it's God first, children second, and if I have time for my husband, third.
Oh, that's not good.
Wow.
I mean, Nick?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just think
That's not good.
that is a common thing, and it's honestly accepted in society. And if a man says, I mean, I've said this, we said it to our kids. Like when Cherry and I would date or leave on vacation and leave them at home, I would tell them, you know why this is? It's because I love your mom more than I love you.
Wow.
And I want you to understand you're all going to be gone someday and I'm going to still be with your mom. So good luck to you. Hope it's all good. But I'm going to make sure.
The woman can't do that?
I am
Don't
going to
burn the
make
house
sure
down.
that my relationship with my wife is right.
But the woman can't do that?
I don't know. Think about it. Do you know women that would sit there and say, yeah, if my husband needs me, screw the kids.
Or if somebody was drowning, who would I choose? You know what I mean?
I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying when it comes to if a husband says, you know what, I need more time with you. So I need more of you. So that means I would rather you be with me than be with the children. How many wives are going to be like, no way.
Probably not a lot.
Are they going to say, oh yeah, good. So kids, go to the babysitter. Kids, go somewhere else. It's time for me and dad. I just don't think that. I don't think that that's, and again, that's not viewed as disrespect, but that is so disrespectful.
Being a good mama is what
It's so disrespectful to choose your kids over your husband.
Yeah.
And that's not seen. So when I say disrespect, it's not being a mouth.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not that. I'm saying disrespectful, meaning that they're choosing something else. Is it disrespectful for a wife to choose her job over her husband?
Yeah.
You would think so.
But is it accepted in society today?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. But for a man, it's seen as disrespect because a wife chooses to work and not that she can't work, but chooses her work over her husband.
Right.
Right? Because we already know that every woman would say, if my husband works all the time, he's never present, they would be on his butt 1,000 times. But it's completely accepted for a woman to come home, be completely disconnected with the kids or her job, and be like, well, that's just the way it is.
Oh, it got twisted.
Yeah. So that would be my point. Like, I think that there's
How did we get there?
Huh?
How did we get there?
How did we get there?
Yeah, like
Women's
how? Like,
lib.
I don't understand. Like why? Like when did it become okay?
Probably because we stopped having women, teaching women. Like you said, the older woman not helping the younger woman to know that it's even, like you said, it's normal, acceptable.
Right, because I brought this up yesterday, and I just think it's crazy. Like when we think about like 100 years ago, or like more than 100 years ago, like that time frame, every woman was staying at home. Every woman was being a helper. Like to me, it's just crazy to think of where we are today.
Yeah. So, I mean, we had a lot to work on. I mean, I just think that that's as we get there. But I want to fast forward now to like, here's your story. So you come from a challenging background.
Yes.
Right.
Dang, I don't even know what all I talked about
No,
either.
I mean, no, the point is the picture that everybody gets is that, I mean, I think a couple points, let's just pick them out. Like, it is important to understand that in your journey, even though through your poor choices, you still sought the Lord.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Right. And that in those places, you were still going to the place that you thought could fix things.
Yes.
Still going back to your Bible, still going back to your place, even when marriage wasn't good,
Everything.
drugs, everything that's happening
I
in your
just
life.
slept with my Bible under my pillow.
Right. So that's my
You
point.
know.
So you didn't trust your husband. You didn't even trust yourself sometimes,
Right,
because of the things
exactly.
you're doing, but you did trust God.
Yes.
Right. And you weren't in church. Like, I think this is okay for
Yeah.
people to see this. Like, you were still pursuing the Lord,
Yes.
even in the midst of your sin.
Yes.
And he was still pursuing you.
Always.
Right.
Wow.
Like that
He's
there's
never
that.
left me.
Right. So then you get to a place where something changed. At some point, you've moved through this journey, you're seeking the Lord, but something did change because you did get clean. You did get to the place where you're back in church. You did get to the place where now you're turning around, mentoring, helping, being a part of. What was the switch? What happened?
I don't know. Honestly, just one time, I just
Well, you got
started
back to Huntington.
deciding, yeah.
So you got back to Huntington, your kids started.
I wanted to be with people that spoke of God.
Right.
That was the thing I missed. I had everything individually, but I didn't have communication.
You didn't have community.
Right. I didn't have community.
Right.
So
right.
that's, I think, what I was starting to ache for, was a community.
Right. So when you get back to Huntington, your kids start going to Life Church for the food. Grandkids start going to church. Your kids didn't go?
No.
No. Your grandkids start going back to Life Church, so you decide, hey, I should go.
I went to a couple of churches, and then it just didn't, I don't know, they say that didn't feel right, type of thing.
Right.
And so I came here, and I don't know, been here ever since.
Yeah, so what clicked?
Yeah.
Like, what made the difference, and what's your journey been like?
I don't know if anything ever made a difference, but when I finally made the decision to come back, I had the mindset that nothing's ever taken me out of it again.
Okay.
I don't honestly care if anybody likes me or not. I'm kind of
right.
I want to be liked like anybody does, but, I believe
it was your mindset.
Yeah, I believe in the
So what have
community.
you learned over the course of 13 years, being back in church, being in community, being around people that can speak the word? Because again, this is another important point. People who say you can seek the Lord by yourself and get it all done, it's just a fallacy.
Right.
And you've proved that, right? Like you're seeking the Lord, you're going through these places, but you get to the place where you're clean now and you're trying to get things figured out and you get back in church, but it's been a journey, right? Like this journey for you.
Oh, gosh, it's taken me 13 years to do my testimony.
Well, that's right. So in those 13 years, like what are some things that were like big markers or people who were big influences for you that moved you to the place where people see you today?
People, Jennifer Eller. Oh my gosh, I ain't kidding.
Yeah, so talk about it. So how did Jennifer influence you in a way that's got you to the place where you are now?
She's always there to listen.
Okay.
Has she always been?
Yes.
Like from the beginning?
Yeah. Everybody knows I can chatty, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Jennifer's just always been there to listen. And then...
Because again, let's make sure
your sermons. I like that you're very blunt and that you bring them to relatable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've always felt whenever you're up there preaching, you're basically preaching to yourself most of the time.
For sure.
It looks, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's not that, it's like, okay, this I'm preaching to myself. Now what you get from it is,
Right.
So I really like that.
So let's talk about the Jennifer thing for just a second because we only have like 5 minutes left.
Whoa.
Right.
I could talk about Jennifer.
I'm saying, again, I think this is important for people to get because there are times that people shy away from relationships because they think, oh my gosh, I'm never going to be able to help. I'm never going to be able to fix. But Jennifer, at least from what I know about you guys' relationship, just said, I'm going to listen.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not going to have to fix. I don't have to have all the answers. She was just somebody
never judged,
that
never
you could
anything.
go to, sit down with, and have a conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So
always.
Go ahead.
Always. And then just, I don't know, continuously coming.
Right.
I like to serve. I love to serve. Even out there when I wasn't going to church.
Right.
I was always known as, like in Arbuckle, I was known as Miss Gina.
Yeah.
So if you ever needed anything,
ask Miss Gina.
ask Miss Gina. And it was a Mexican population. So a lot of times there wasn't even a verbal communication. It was just knowing somebody needed some food or knowing somebody needed some clothes.
When you were out of California?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, in your journey, having somebody to listen. So what we can learn from, right? Somebody that will listen, right?
Yeah.
So if you're somebody out there and you're trying to get it figured out, get with somebody, get in community, try to find a person that will listen. If you're the person out there saying, I don't really know what to do, find somebody you can listen to, right? Like those are some things that you can do. The other part is you need to find a church that can, the messages, the teachings, and the things can be applied to your life and allow for life change. Yeah. And then you need to get to the place where you serve.
Yeah.
Right.
You need to, I don't, serving, I had the hardest time, okay? Because Yvonne's another rock star. I've always wanted to get up in front of the church and say, I don't get it. Okay. You guys come all week, every week. And
why aren't you serving?
Why aren't you serving? Yeah. And me and Nelson were talking about that. And it's like, I don't know, as soon as I met Jesus and first time I seen that he washed people's feet, I'm like, I don't know, and instantly I, knew, okay, that's what I'm meant to do, is be a server. So, but I know it has to be in their heart, and I know everybody has a lesson to walk up to, or, but to me, a serving just kind of goes right with except in the Holy Spirit.
Yeah. No, and again, I think that, part of the problem with church is, there are people that are serving, there are people that are involved in a lot of different places.
Yeah.
But part of the problem today is that if you have a church with a lot of young people, it's the one time they can be without their kids.
I understand that.
So it's a difficult process because half your church is people who have children.
But do you realize in the children's ministry, if everyone that had a child volunteered, it would probably be like once every
I'm not disagreeing with you. It's something that we have to continue to work on.
I know.
And try to work through those things.
But we have a lot of volunteers now, more now, because Charity rocks.
Yeah.
She's brought so much excitement into, because I've been doing it for 13 years.
Right.
And I was actually starting to get what they call that burnout.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then this little blonde girl pops up. And I'm just like, wow. I mean, she was like a breath of fresh air, honestly.
Right.
And it's just fun and it's
so
exciting.
If you could give some words of wisdom, right? Because we're gonna finish with words of wisdom and then questions, right? So if you could have some words of wisdom to your younger self or younger women, what would be some of your words of wisdom to them based upon where you're at in life today? If you could give them a couple hints, a couple pointers, a couple things to do, what would it be?
God's way is the best way.
Okay.
And never let go. Okay. Never let go no matter what.
So figure out what is God's way?
God's way is reading the scriptures.
Right. So figuring it out.
And being in a community.
Right.
I mean, it's too hard to, you can do it and live your life without the community, but it just makes it so much easier.
Right. So if you're a young lady out there, search the heart of God through scripture and get in a community of women that can help you do the same thing and they're going to hold you accountable.
Yeah. And never let go. And if you can't accomplish that, just hang on tight. Yeah. Because you'll take yourself through you know. I mean, I always felt like I had a rope, and I was just like, okay, I'm hanging on, you know.
Right.
Where we're going, hell if I know.
Right.
See, I did really good. I did not say a curse word until the end.
Oh, yeah. No, nobody cares about that.
Yeah, it's who you hang out with. That's what matters a lot.
Yeah. Finding that right community.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay, Jenny, questions.
All right, question time. First one is from Tammy Little.
Oh, she's so cute. Ain't she?
Yes.
She's a powerhouse.
All right. She says, please let Gina know that I love her and her compassion she has for our little ones in church is such a blessing.
She's cute. The little ones are cute.
Do you ever say somebody's ugly?
Yeah. Is that the first?
Yeah, I'll call somebody ugly.
So maybe when we get to a question and then somebody be like, oh yeah, that's you ugly person. Let me hear your question.
But it's their inside. I mean, if they're a bad person, I'm going to be right in their face. Let them know. I don't know.
Well, hopefully they're not in our questions
or not. But
Emily Krieger, she wants to know, or no, these aren't questions. Man, you are just Miss Popular.
So
I love your passion for your grandkids. I can just tell the unconditional love you're pouring out into them. They are so sweet, and I love getting to know their hearts. Here's the question. What is your favorite way to celebrate their birthdays? That was a good question.
It's their favorite way to celebrate their birthdays.
Do you celebrate their birthdays?
Give parties?
Yeah, usually cake and fix dinner.
Do you?
Yeah, I usually try to get them whatever type of... My sister does a lot of the cooking now. I mean, but what's their favorite food?
Whatever their favorite meal is.
Yeah, the family gets together.
The whole family?
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite meal to cook?
No.
No?
Do you like to cook?
No.
No? Oh. Okay. All right, Lisa Leist. How does she stay so committed to the job? And, my bad, I just read, that was very confusing. Okay, the first question. What gets her through the monotony of the same old, or monotony? Lisa, why'd you have to put this word in here? Like, that was rude. The same old methods of cleaning. Like, how do you get through doing the same thing every day, basically?
It's a job. I don't know.
Because you don't get bored you've said with this before. It doesn't matter. You're going to make a living.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever it takes, you're going to make a living.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, do I dream of, wow, scrubbing the toilet and on my knees? Oh, yeah. But that's okay.
It never gets, like, old, though? Like, you doing the same thing every day, like, over and over?
No, I mean, no, because any job really has a repetition of being...
Doing the same thing every day. Same thing every week.
Yeah. I was a waitress for 18 years.
Yeah.
So that
Which
was
would
a little
be
bit
awful.
more.
by the way.
A
Why?
waitress.
I would
loved it.
hate being
I
a
loved
waitress.
waitressing.
Dealing with people, I would be
Oh,
like,
that 98% is totally cool.
yeah, I bet.
And then you get to meet. Then you get to meet new. You know.
Yeah.
I loved waitressing.
Yeah,
that
so did
was
I.
so much fun.
Yeah.
Because I would entertain my tables.
Yeah.
I'd make them laugh. And
Mine was the children, even back then. I mean,
Yeah.
Children,
yeah,
oh.
family would come in, and I'd totally ignore.
I
the
was
adults.
not wanting the
They're paying the
families.
bill, but I didn't care.
Yeah.
No, they're the
Right.
ones that leave messes under the
No.
table, and you have to clean them up. I was like, please, no children. Okay, just kidding. Kiwi Oswald, no questions. We just love her.
Aw.
So much love. Doug Bragg, I can't think of any questions, but every time I've seen Gina, she's always super happy and laughing. I just want to say thanks for making Life Church a joyful and a clean
How
place.
nice.
And Sarah Jeffers just put a heart, like a
She's a
loved
sweetheart.
heart.
Like she's the best.
Yes,
She's a
like she
sweetheart.
loves you.
Yeah, a couple of them. It's
And
kind of
those
like
are
a mama, daughter type of thing. You know, they'll ask me. And
Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. Kaylin Griffith. I just want to thank her for being a smiley person and being so good to the kids. Wow, you've gotten a lot of love from here. I think that's the most no questions.
no questions. just
Yeah.
love.
Yeah, so
Okay.
Gina, let me end with this. So, I mean, one of the things I want to say to you is just how proud I am of you, of watching your journey for 13 years, because again, I mean,
I am growing. I love it. Yeah.
That's my
can
point. I
feel
mean,
it.
I've seen you for
Yeah.
a long time and been a part of your life for a long time. And so not only your own journey, the sacrificial love, right? So one of the things that's a huge attribute of you is the size of your heart and how much you love people.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, again, and how that
Thank you.
love
That's God.
carried over into our family.
Right.
You loved my wife. You loved her
She's
when she was
easy to
sick. You
love.
loved, you know, you did things that, normal people don't do.
Right.
You know, so I wanted to say thank you from, you know, a leader of a church,
welcome.
but also, you know, a husband, and just what you have done and how I've seen you love people. And again, I think it's a lesson for all of us to learn. If your heart is big, God can use you in amazing ways.
Right.
Yeah.
So great job, Gina.
I know.
Jenny, you want to end it
Seriously.
up with our text?
Yep. So the number that is 260-408-8383. And that is the number that you can text podcast to, and it will put you in our group. And every week we send out a text that we ask you a question and let you know who's going to be on the show. So not only that, but you can ask us questions. If you know somebody that wants to be a podcast or on the podcast, you can text us. Really, just anything. We want you to reach out to us. Yeah.
Yeah, engage. Yeah, good. So again, don't forget when Jenny puts the clips out, like, share. Again, recommend people to subscribe to our podcast. If you're on our YouTube and you're watching, you know,
That's where I usually watch it.
if you watch it on the YouTube, leaving comments on the YouTube is a great way for us to grow influence. So if you're on there, leave comments. You know, we'd love to have feedback on how we're doing and how we can continue to get better, and or just leave your comments for our guests and as an encouragement. If you see Gina in church, I mean, the other part of our podcast, one of our goals is people can get to know, you know, people. And so the church has changed a lot in 13 years.
bigger
and
now.
a lot of people and a lot of different, you know, aspects. So if you've never met Gina and you're watching our podcast or you're listening to it, take an opportunity to come up, say hi, believe
Get a
me.
hug.
Yeah, she'll for sure be stopping you,
Absolutely.
hugging
I love
you,
hugs.
talking to you, because she is one of those people that is going to stop and take time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know how some people are like, "Hey, good to see you. Bye. Good to see you. Bye."
Right,
Like
no.
politician, you're not a politician.
No.
So,
No.
yeah, you have that genuine love.
And I like finding when I look around, if somebody's sitting alone, you know, even, and I'm not good at names, so I don't know, you know, their name or anything. Or sometimes with it being so big, I don't even know if I've already met them.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know? So it's like, but yeah, take a minute just to go say hi at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah, 'cause it
you know,
matters.
it matters big time.
It does.
It really does.
Yeah. So again, everybody, thanks for joining us. Don't forget, like, share, comment.
Subscribe.
We'd love to, subscribe. Love for you guys to be able to get this podcast out to more people. And again, we thank you for watching and or listening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.